Hey everybody, so it's that time of year again. We're in February now, and it's tax time. I think that both Uber and Lyft have put out all their tax information. Oops, my foot bumped the camera. But it's that time of year that we start putting together all of our expenses. If you drive Uber and Lyft, you've got to track your miles. You've got to track your expenses. And that means keeping track of rental payments, car payments, insurance payments, brakes, tires, you name it, everything, brakes, tires, cleaning. It all needs to be tracked. At the end of the day, this is a business and you're running a small business. So, it behooves you, and it's the smart thing to do, to start tracking all this stuff. And if you're not already doing it, start doing it today, which leads us into our sponsor, Gridwise. It's a fantastic app. You're able to track everything. I've been using Gridwise for a little while now, and I absolutely love it. And I'm going to show you everything there is to pretty much know about this. And we're going to go through all my numbers together. So let's get into it. All right, everybody. So what you're looking at here is my weekly recap from February 9th to February 15th. You can see I earned $989.12 over 61 trips. It was in the Baltimore region. People doing similar work earned around 237. I do not know why that would be the case, but hey, if it says it, there must be some numbers. It looks like here, compare all your key metrics. Okay, yeah. I don't really need to compare my key metrics to other drivers. I don't know if you're anything like me. When I go out and drive, I go out and drive for me. What other drivers do, that's their business. One thing Gridwise will help you to do is it will help you to identify the best times to drive. Has a feature in there that does that, and I do like that. I've used it a couple times. But let's be honest, the meat on the bone with Gridwise is all about being able to track your miles and having one app to do all this. Track your miles, enter in all your expenses, keep track of incoming flights that are coming in. You can see when the busy times at the airports are. And those are the three big things. The insights, they're all fine and dandy, and they're kind of like the icing on a cake, if you know what I mean. And let's go down. We'll look at the insights real quick. Let me get to them. All right. So I'm gonna throw this up on the screen on the video so you guys can see it. But yeah, your insights basically show your earnings, what your per hour take is. So it looks like here, we're going with February 9th to February 15th. I made $989.12. I did 61 trips across Uber and Lyft, $19.36 an hour, $1.14 a mile, which I guess is strong because that's, when it gives you this per mile rate, it's calculating everything. It's, driving to that person, driving around in between rides, taking the person on a trip. It's looking at all your miles for the whole day. And that's important. So you get a lot of drivers, I hear this magic figure of $1 per mile. Using Gridwise is going to tell you if you're hitting your dollar per mile average per day. If that makes any sense, And like I said, I'm going to put this up on the screen so you can see it. But it'll tell you exactly what you're averaging, your total for that day, which I think that's a good thing. I average $16.22 per trip. I don't think that's bad at all. I would much rather pay attention to the per trip and the per mile rate that I'm getting than I would care about the per hour rate, because that's an average over the whole day. And I just think this is one of those industries where you really, I know people like to talk about per mile, or per hour. I like to talk per mile. I like to talk per trip. So, and this does a real good job of doing that. I like it. When you get down here further into the insights, you can see where it lays out how much you made on Lyft, how much you made on Uber, because it's going to import all that data into the app. If you drive Amazon Flex, if you drive any of these other apps, it can import that data too. So, I mean, I like that about it. Now we're going to talk about getting into, planning out your week, planning out the days you're going to drive. Gridwise handles all that. It goes into, what are they calling it? Yeah, events. So I have not used the events other than to glance over it because I kind of stick to a general pattern. I leave my house, I drive up to Baltimore, I drive down, if I get a ride going to like BWI, IAD, or Dulles, if it's paying enough money, I take it. I might give it a half hour, see if I get a ride back. I very, very seldom do. Then I'll cruise back up 95, go through Howard County and stuff like that. Generally tends to be a busy area. Drive Glen Burnie, Columbia, those types of areas for me, they work well. I'm not the guy. Now, I do have a buddy of mine that does use Gridwise also, and he uses this events thing to plan out his entire week. He'll plan out 2 weeks in advance on when he's going to drive, just by going through all these events and then looking at flights and such with, I don't know if he uses Gridwise to look at flights, but I do know he uses the events planner. And he's a black car driver, he loves to drive the events. I think that's where the meat on the bone for him is going to be at events, and he likes that. So he does use the app for that. I personally haven't, but it's here, and it's something that you can use. Let's scroll back up here, and I'll put this image in the video too, so you guys can see it. But back to the whole when to work thing. This is showing you. I left my glasses upstairs. It looks like it's showing you, Monday through Sunday. So it's showing you every day what days are going to be the best days to drive. And I assume that it's going and comparing that to these events and maybe also flights if you're near an airport. I don't know. Maybe I can get an answer for you guys. I can and possibly email somebody at Gridwise and ask them, because I honestly don't know. And I don't want to sit here and tell you it's one thing and it's not. But like I said, the best part of this whole app is going to be the mileage tracking and the expense tracking. If you're out here driving Uber and Lyft, it's hard enough to make $1. You and I both know that. It's hard enough to make money. The last thing you want to do is let expenses go by the wayside. And one of the things you can do, and I'll screen capture this and put it in there, when you go into the expenses, it lists all kinds of expenses. So you're not only just tracking your fuel or your car payment, there's a bunch of other things in there that you can track as well. And all these things add up at the end of the year. Every single thing adds up at the end of the year. So if you're out here doing this and you're trying to make money doing it, you have to track your expenses. I mean, I meet drivers all the time that they're not even tracking their miles, and it makes absolutely no sense to me. And then they wonder why at the end of the year they're getting hit with tax bills. 2026, 72.5 cents per mile is your standard deduction, okay? That's your standard deduction. So they're basically telling you, look, for every mile that you drive, here's 72.5 cents. You and I both know you should be able to wipe out the money that you make with Uber with that. Because remember, you're driving to the passenger, you're driving, once you pick the passenger up, to their destination, you're dropping them off. And let's be honest, lots of us, after that, you're driving back to where you started out or close to it. So all those miles, they all count. And they all go to reducing your tax burden. Like I said before, talk to an accountant. But this, over the years, I've been doing this almost 12 years. Over the years, this is how I've always done it. And I've never had a problem. So talk to your accountant. But, I mean, my gosh, if you're out here driving Uber and Lyft, track your miles, track your expenses. Use an app like Gridwise. Plan out your day. Make sure that you're going to be the guy or girl who treats it like a business, and you're going to see your earnings stay in your pocket more. You're going to see more money at the end of the year. You're gonna save money on taxes doing this, and it just makes all kinds of sense. So I hope everybody has a great weekend, and I hope everybody goes out there and makes lots of money. But remember, track your expenses, track your miles. Gridwise, it's a great app. I hope you guys like it.